So what's the big problem with wealth creation? How do people like us, who didn't inherit a boatload of money, who are investing and building wealth from our own blood, sweat and tears, how do we invest in a way that gives us remarkable results and become financially free before retirement age? I don't know about you, but I am sick of hearing from wealth gurus and experts who don't walk their own talk and prescribe strategies that are a one-size-fits-all approach. For self-made people like you and me, I'm here to tell you that you don't need to be superhuman or already wealthy to reach financial freedom earlier than 65.
Guys, have you ever considered the parallels that exist between the booming real estate sector and a Ponzi scheme? Well, that is the bold statement that I want to kind of unpack today. And where it comes from is an article that was sent to me, put out by the ABC in the last week or so, where there was a comment made about the problems with the Australian real estate market, the escalating way that prices have boomed over the last 30 years, and the problems that it's causing in terms of supply being a problem, affordability being a problem, rental yields being a problem. So there's a whole raft of problems associated with the booming real estate market. But the comment that I want to kind of really hone in on is the one that's about Australia's property Ponzi. And I'll just read this to you. Any investment that's primarily reliant on capital gain rather than future income generation for its return shares at least one thing in common with a Ponzi scheme. Both rely on the next investor to pay out the profits of the earlier ones. In the case of real estate, that means a new generation of buyers willing and able to stump up more cash to pay a higher price than the previous ones. First of all, I find that a very clever insight. It's pretty grim, no question. It definitely implies that, there's a lot of people investing in real estate that are driven by greed and exploitation. And my own experience is that's not the case. Most people are regular mum and dads who just want to create a little bit of comfort for themselves in retirement so that they don't have to rely on the government. So while I find that an interesting angle, the bigger picture here in this particular article highlights how the cash flow out of the Australian market is dismal. It's worse than dismal. It's like you have to be prepared on average to take hard-earned money out of your active employment or your active business or your active income in order to support an asset that you are hoping and praying will go up in value in the future, and the ridiculousness of that model. And to that degree, while I agree it sounds ridiculous, for many Australians anyway, it has been really the vehicle of choice because of your ability to borrow and apply leverage to develop any meaningful kind of wealth. Where I feel like the commentary in this article kind of falls short is kind of flagging this idea that if your intention is to buy, hold, grow Australian real estate, and you're happy to tolerate the negative cash flow for a period of time, but that you're hoping that at some point in the future that negative cash flow will turn into positive cash flow and that you will be okay, I'm sorry to say I think you will be sorely disappointed. I have many times now run the figures for many investors and even my own property portfolio back in the day, and I recognized that the sort of returns that we get from a cash flow perspective on our asset class in this country, and the same is true of many other countries, the UK included, is absolutely terrible. So even if you hold real estate in the Australian property market, unencumbered, meaning zero debt, the sorts of returns that you can expect to get on it range from 1 to 2.5%. Now, if you own a $1 million property, which is kind of around the average price of real estate in our country right now, that is a terrible, terrible return. So where does that leave us? I think where that leaves us is that if we want to participate in this alleged Ponzi scheme, which is, as I said, a grim way of describing our expectation that the market will continue to rise, the thing that we have to come to terms with is we cannot rely on that market by itself to deliver us the sort of meaningful cash flow that will deliver financial freedom, or any kind of freedom for that matter, unless you have been holding real estate for decades, unless you have a massive property portfolio this Ponzi scheme, as they've labeled it, is not going to give you the outcome you want. At some point, you have to make the decision to take a portion of the capital that you've currently got allocated to real estate. Once it has given you the growth that you need, you need to divert it into assets that actually deliver cash flow. Now, I have plenty of content in past podcasts where I talk about strategies that will deliver you this, but you do need to understand that there is an entire asset class that I have up until recently spoken a lot about, but effectively which is backed by real property, where you get to participate at the highest level of control, but which delivers epic cash flow. I can tell you right now that those opportunities are few and far between in the country that I live in, but that there are a group of trailblazers in this world who are amalgamating knowledge, wisdom, and funds to create that sort of deal flow. Where I want to leave this episode is by saying you've got to actually work out how to work the system. You know, Australia's real estate market is incredible for building capital. It is absolute rubbish. It's worse than rubbish for cash flow. And so if that is true, then the game that you are playing is, how do I use this asset to build my net worth? And then how do I divert at least a good portion of that into other asset classes that will deliver me cash flow? Because that is the only path to freedom. I'll see you guys in the next episode.
If you're feeling frustrated that despite doing everything right in the property investing playbook and you're no closer to financial freedom, then head on over to incosiwealth.com to learn more about how you can use alternative investments to catapult your investing income and blend strategies to shave decades off your timeline to financial freedom. See you on the next episode.